Hello, and welcome. My name is Mitchell Ogilvie, a Solutions Engineering Manager here at Talend. Thanks for joining me today at the Big Data and AI Toronto show. If you're coming here from Jamie Fiorda's main stage presentation on data health for Customer 360, excellent. I hope you enjoyed it. If not, that's totally fine, as this session is easily consumable independent of that session. If what you see here today is of interest to you, and you'd like to connect with me or someone else from the wider Talend family, then you should be able to find my contact details associated to this session, but I'll also include them towards the end of the presentation. During this session, I will be showing you, through demonstration, how Talend can help enable you or your organization to achieve more value from your Customer 360 solution using a set of Talend's industry-leading cloud applications. So let's get into it. You have made a significant investment in a Customer 360 solution in order to address a multitude of use cases, some of which may include targeted campaigns, customized engagements, streamlined transaction processing, and most likely many others. But the reality is, organizations continue to struggle to deliver on these use cases because of inaccurate, incomplete, or just plain wrong data. Talend raises the value of an existing Customer 360 by addressing the root cause of failed initiatives, bad data. This is achieved with Talend Data Fabric, our market-leading solution that brings together technical professionals and business users to eliminate bad data. Through purpose-built data integration, governance, and application and API integration tools, Talend unlocks the speed and agility organizations need to thrive in today's modern, data-driven environments. Today I want to focus in on just one of these C360 use cases, a customer support scenario, to show how Talend enables every persona across the organization to take an active role in ensuring clean, healthy data is at the center of all your business initiatives, including an effective Customer 360, thus building a culture of data health, built on a foundation of data quality and trust, and ensuring your customers receive the world-class service they deserve. This is your customer, Justin. He is a typical customer who has many touch points with your organization. He is a member of the loyalty program and a frequent shopper via online and in-store channels. He is also active on social media and has engaged with targeted marketing promotions and customer support in the past. Ideally, as an organization, you want to understand all historical information about Justin's purchases, interests, and interactions, so that you can predict what to sell to him, when he will need it, and through which channels. You also want to ensure that if Justin calls the support line, his issues are resolved quickly, and you can cement loyalty and drive retention. After all, that is why you invested in Customer 360 to begin with. In order to achieve this, you have all proper systems in place. A typical CRM system, an ERP system, in-store and online point-of-sale systems to track transaction history, a marketing automation system to engage with Justin through targeted promotions, and hooks into social media to understand customer sentiment, and a customer support system to log support calls. All this data feeds into your enterprise Customer 360 for that complete view of Justin. However, because the data is siloed, disconnected, and of poor quality, your organization cannot get a single clean view of Justin. This leads to longer wait times on support calls and Justin having to reestablish basic information the organization should already know about him and receiving irrelevant and unwanted offers or promotions. Clearly, Justin is not benefiting from your investment in a C360 solution. This is Rebecca, a customer support specialist with Acme Corp, a large international retailer of outdoor lifestyle products with a loyal customer base of well over 75 million members. Rebecca is responsible for fielding customer support calls and building relationships with those customers. To do this, she needs to be armed with all of the relevant information about an individual customer the moment they call in to the support line, so she can deliver a personalized, streamlined experience, resolve any issues quickly, and grow the relationship between the customer and the brand. This is what was promised to Acme Corp when they implemented a C360 solution over a year ago. When Justin calls in, wanting to return the Highland gravel bike, a $1,200 mountain bike that was damaged in shipping, he is expecting a quick, no-hassle experience. However, when Rebecca searches on Justin's name, she comes across multiple records. Which one does she choose? And then, once she selects one, she is faced with incomplete or inaccurate data about Justin. There is no information indicating the value this customer brings to Acme Corp. Are they valued, loyal customer, or a one-time shopper? There is also no transaction history for Justin, meaning Rebecca will have to access the point of sale systems directly and try to track down this purchase using a credit card number that Justin is reluctant to give out. The frustration for both is near a boiling point. This is an all too common situation that Rebecca and many other customer support specialists find themselves in, leading to only 40% customer satisfaction. Now that you have seen the pain of Rebecca and Justin, I want to show you how Talend enables you to achieve data health through a combination of preventative measures, effective treatments, and a supportive culture, our 3 pillars of data health. At a tactical level, it starts with enabling all personas across the organization to take an active role in ensuring clean, healthy data is at the center of all your business initiatives, including an effective Customer 360. Talend Data Fabric fosters collaboration through a set of role-based applications delivered in a unified platform so that business analysts can discover data sets and create a plan for standardization of the data as it enters the system, while data engineers operationalize the plan with data pipelines that enrich the data through automated matching, and data stewards follow governed data workflows that validate the matching and merging of the data. Once you have these practices in place, central IT groups can bring it to life through data sharing, care, and maintenance. No doubt this can feel like a daunting task, especially after all the time spent implementing a Customer 360 solution, but Talend makes it easy, collaborative, and more importantly, scalable. Because certainly Justin isn't the only customer having a bad experience. So let me show you how it's done. The first step in creating a culture of healthy data is through discovery and standardization. Darren is a business analyst at Acme Corp with in-depth knowledge of the customer data within the CRM system. It is his responsibility to ensure customer data like Justin's is complete, correct, and standardized, so that Rebecca is sure to have an accurate representation of Justin when he calls for support. Talend enables Darren to easily discover, access, manage, and organize data sets with Talend Data Inventory. And while Talend Data Preparation brings features to profile, cleanse, standardize, and enrich data sets through powerful AI-driven functions. Here's how. Starting from the Talend Cloud application portal, we're able to see and access all the different applications that my user has access to. By using the Select an App drop-down list box, I'm able to find the Data Inventory application and select it to get into it. Here, what I can see is a number of different views and menu selections on the left-hand side, but most importantly are all the different data sets that I've either uploaded or made connections into. So not only are the names available here, but we can see another collection of attributes which become important for me at a quick glance. I can review the different types of trust score values that we have on each data set. I can also see user ratings or popularity aspects of this data set. Next, what we have is a color-coded quality indicator, which quickly will identify whether or not we have valid values, incomplete, or invalid values. Next, we have the option to be able to share this data set across different team members, and if I chose to, I could actually certify this data set fit for purpose so that other users know that it's ready to be used. We also have an attribute here where I can either favorite or unfavorite a data set, and again, we have the ability to customize several other attributes which might be important to you. There's also a handy faceted search function here, so by typing in C360, I'll quickly be able to return all the different data sets that might be relevant to me in my initiative. So let's jump into the customer's data set where we need to fix some issues or investigate certain problems. So when we actually see the first ID card of the customer's data set, it's really just a collection of metadata about this data set. The first thing that you'll notice up here is this Talend Trust Score. So now the Talend Trust Score is a derived value coming from about 5 different factors. And we can see the spider graph here of the 5 factors that impact the trust score. So here we'll see that we have validity, popularity, completeness, discoverability, and usage. As we scroll down the identification card here, we can see that we have the data quality indicators that we saw on the previous screen, but just blown out a little bit. We also have the ability for crowdsourcing some information about this data set. After I've investigated this data set, I'm able to actually apply my own subjective rating scale to this. At this point, I'll select a lower rating because we know that there's quite a few invalid values still. Now we have the ability to add some more metadata, which makes our data set more searchable and discoverable and even more descriptive. So at this point, we'll start to adhere to certain best practices around data health. We can do things like add a description, perfect. Save that. Next, we might have a couple custom attributes within inside this data set that we might want to apply. In this case, I might want to add the C360 program tag to this. Awesome. Furthermore, we're able to actually classify and tag this data, which even make it more discoverable for my other users. So in this case, maybe I want to add C360. Maybe I can add another customer that says customer. And we'll go ahead and add the PII because we know that this information might also contain some PII data. So now that we've actually provided a little bit more descriptive elements to this data set, again we'll see that the trust score is improving. Next, I might want to investigate this data set a little bit more. So I'll click on the sample button. And from here, it's quite easy to see and spot data quality or problematic issues with this data. So with inside here, we can see that the country code has a number of different formats. Telephone numbers are popping off on the screen in a visual way. We also see that there are case and title and spelling mistakes with inside some of our last names. Now that I've investigated some of the issues with this data set, it's time to actually go ahead and fix it. So from here, I'll click on the Preparations button. It opens up a number of options. I'm able to actually use any existing or jump into any existing data preparations on this data set, or I'm able to actually add and create a brand new one for this data set. Here within inside the Talend data preparation environment, you'll probably notice a few similarities to our sample view inside data inventory. On the right hand side, we have a list of functions which we can then use to apply and transform or improve the quality of the actual values. There are a family of functions for the column, also relating to the row or table. And underneath that, what we have is some profiling statistics. Here, we can see the sum value of the first name of Pierre. We see he's the most represented with inside the first name of this data set. We're able to then transform. We're also able to see a number of different indicators, including counts, distincts, duplicates, and so forth. Additionally, we can see different patterns against the different data sets. By highlighting specific columns, we can see that these patterns change and might represent different values and different types of information on that data set. So now let's begin standardizing this data set. I know from my matching algorithms, the country, phone, and last name are very important for identifying matching and merging activities. So in this case, what we might want to do is search for a function called country. And what we'll actually find is a function that I'm interested in. So in this case, what we'll be able to do is select that function, which will apply to the country column, and then a number of different configuration parameters pop up. Here, I have the option to either create a new column or overwrite the column by unchecking that option. I'm also going to I'm going to transform this from the country name and standardize it down to the ISO 2 name to match the semantic type that I desire. In this case, I'm able to hover over the Submit button and we'll actually get a live preview of how the changes might apply to the data. I'm happy with that, so I'll hit the Submit button. Now, we're executing that function against this column set, and soon enough we'll see that we've standardized all of our values to the country code ISO 2 format. Here, we can now see that 100% of the values fall within the valid indicator. Awesome. What you might notice as well is on the left-hand side is where we start preserving the steps that we're taking against this data set. This is important because we'll be able to track all of the changes that we made and go back and modify them if we want. This is called a Talend data preparation recipe, otherwise known as a data prep recipe. So from with here, I'm able to then save all the different steps that I'm going to apply on this data. So now I also know that I want to fix some of the phone numbers in this case. And while I do that, I'll just hover over and go to and find the phone type functions or related functions. Here, I notice that I have a format phone number function, which I'm happy to use here. and then I go about and I need to configure this one. This is a different type of function where I'm actually able to use the value found within inside another column. So I can leverage the country code, in this case, to be able to standardize the phone number as it pertains to that country. Here, I can select a number of different types of formats, and I'm happy with the international version. I hit submit. Awesome. Now that I'm happy with the majority of my standardized phone numbers, there might still be some that didn't match because the data is too poor. Well, in that case, I'd like to omit it from my record set. So in that case, I'm able to just find another simple function, which is called remove or clear cells with invalid values. And now what we'll do is eliminate any bad values so that they don't mess up some of my matching algorithms. Great. The last thing I'll do is I'll create an uppercase value for all of my last names. So in this case, I can search for title, and here what we'll do is we'll change to a standard title case, indicating that the first letter of each word will become an uppercase and remaining everything else lower. Here, I see one more typo that I'd like to fix, and I'll remove one of the trailing L's. Hit enter, and now I can apply this to any other remaining hills with 3 L's. Hit submit, and we should see that we'll start to tidy this up even better. Awesome. I think this data set's ready for use. The next step to building a healthy data culture is to operationalize data flows and to automate the matching process. Priya is a data engineer at Acme Corp and is responsible for designing integrated solutions that deliver accurate insights into Justin's behavior as a customer. These insights are important for someone like Rebecca, who needs to know how Justin has interacted with the business in the past and what most influences Justin's buying habits. Talent Pipeline Designer gives Priya the tools she needs to deliver modern and scalable integrations that are executable in a cloud, on-prem, or hybrid environment. Here's how. Like Darren, Priya is able to leverage data inventory to begin working with the datasets. Here she can find the customer's prep dataset that Darren had just concluded working with. By clicking into the dataset, we can quickly see that the trust score is in fact improved, notably around the validity, completeness, and usage factors. However, there's more work to be done. So Priya is able to directly navigate into Talend Pipeline Designer by clicking this icon. Similar to the data prep icon, we're able to either add net new pipelines or continue working with one that we've already had. Get started. By navigating into Pipeline Designer, we're presented with a bit of a different view. Here, we can see a number of different processors that are already applying data transformations to the data pipeline. By clicking on one of these plus icons, we're presented with the Add Processor menu. Here we can see we have a family of schema manipulation processors, which aid the user in being able to manipulate the actual schema or the structure of that data set. You'll see things like joins or aggregates, even splitting, be able to split columns into their separate parts. We also offer a family of field manipulations where we can do math calculations or even string functions, or of course the troubling dates type functions. We're also able to then route the data record sets into different targets. So if we had multiple outputs, we're able to then separate the data flow and replicate it so we can push the data into different target environments. We also have the ability to filter any poor data, and this is often used when trying to isolate poor records outside of our data set. We also have the ability to apply a certain number of different data quality transformations to the data set as well. Similar to the data preparation functions that we find within inside the data prep environment, all of those different data quality functions are also available here, encouraging that pervasive data quality aspect of our data health culture. Lastly, we see the ability to be able to actually set Python or embed Python directly within inside of our data pipelines. In fact, Talend allows data professionals to bring intelligent services into data pipelines with extensibility to common NLP, ML, and AI libraries, which is a unique differentiator with Talend. Exiting out of our processor menu, I'll bring your attention to the live preview view in the bottom. Here what we're able to see is actually the data as it moves into and out of a processor. So very quickly are we able to identify how our manipulation through a processor is taking part on a data set. We have a number of different views that the user can select depending on their preference. When setting up a processor, you'll notice on the right-hand side there's a number of different parameters that need to be set. So in this case, we're using a filter parameter to be able to identify whether or not a record was deemed a duplicate. So in this case, any records that are not duplicates, in fact are unique, are able to then be targeted and sent to our unique customers database. To address data matches that require human interaction, Talend Pipeline Designer integrates tightly with our data stewardship application. This will direct any questionable matches to an aligned merging campaign without the need for extra data movement and potential data loss. Now, these records can be handled by our Talend Data Steward in the next steps. Once matching has been automated and data flows operationalized, the next important step is manual data review through data stewardship tasks. Leo is one of a few dozen data stewards at Acme Corp that manages the manual resolution of data merging tasks through deeper investigation of the data and more refined data cleansing. This guarantees Justin's data stays with Justin and gives Rebecca 100% confidence in the data's accuracy and validity. Talend Data Stewardship is the only dedicated and fully integrated stewardship application that delivers powerful capabilities to address manual data resolution while providing full audit and workflow functionality. Here's how. Navigating into Talend Data Stewardship, Leo is able to see all the different campaigns that he belongs to, and of course the different tasks which have been assigned to him. In this case, these are the ones generated by Priya's pipeline in the previous step. Let's navigate into this merging type campaign called Customers Deduplication. Here we see a familiar look and feel to the UI. I'm able to quickly identify any problematic values within certain data sets, and I'm also able to expand each merging set to be able to determine which source these records came from. In this case, I notice that there's a slight spelling mistake, and similar to data prep, I'm able to just apply corrective action directly to the top survived records. I'm able to lock this record down and deem it acceptable. Here, as we navigate to the next step, we can see that again, these two records came from both the CRM and the support system. Again, it appears that the actual survived record seems appropriate, and I'm happy to lock this one here. As I navigate into the next task, I see that there's actually some odd and complexities to this record. I might not have the understanding or knowledge to be able to fix this record. In these types of situations, I'm able to actually collaborate with my other team members and simply assign them so that they could actually review and help me out. Next, as we navigate into the next record, I'm able to see that Rona here satisfies my survivorship rules as well. Here in this case, we feel that there's a data quality rule which has been broken, and I'm actually able to then come down and remedy this before it's able to be processed. In this case, I've done some homework and been able to figure out that in this case there are 2 adults and no kids in this household. Again, locking this one down. Talend's Data Stewardship provides the ability to actually trace all of the steps in which were taken upon each record. This helps for auditability, traceability, compliance within the stewardship and governance program, effectively being able to tell why or how we've been able to change something. Talend Data Stewardship also provides a very similar set of functions that we saw in data prep. So all the pervasive data quality capabilities that we found in data preparation and pipeline designer are also available here inside the stewardship. One of the last features I'll focus in on here is the ability to actually split these 2 records. If I've been able to determine that Benju and Huet, in this case, has actually come from 2 and they're separate systems and they're in fact unique, I'm actually able to select this record and say split the task. This effectively removes that record from here, and now we actually know that we've actually got 2 unique records in this case. Once I'm content with all of my records, obviously not going to show them all in this demonstration, I'm able to then simply validate the ones which I've locked down, and then they'll get out of my task list. And I can continue my work with future record activities. Sharing clean, healthy, high-quality data openly across the entire organization is the pinnacle of achieving data health. This is where Jackie enters the story. Jackie is an IT engineer supporting the Customer 360 initiative at Acme Corp. Her responsibility is to share the wealth by populating all systems across the organization with the data that Darren, Priya, and Leo have worked so hard to nurse back to health. This is also that aha moment for Rebecca too. when everything comes full circle, and she finally has all the information she needs to help Justin return his $1,200 Highland gravel mountain bike. Talend API Designer is a powerful contract-first API service delivering streamlined data sharing, both internally and externally. Here's how. In Talend API Designer, I can build and test API contracts designed for data sharing, so that teams like Rebecca's can enhance their front end and deliver better customer engagements. Here we can see the list of APIs that I've recently been working on. Next, we'll navigate directly into the Customer 360 API contract, and we can see part of the definition has already been completed. This is exactly where we can actually create and assign resources, such as like the customer resource, which we need to share with Rebecca's front end. With this customer resource, I get to determine what type of actions I want to take on that. And in this case, what we've seen is we've actually created the Get Customers and Post Customers APIs. Navigating into the guest action, we can see that we can configure things like the response codes that we would expect to return back in the event that there's an error. During the definition of this contract, the specification markup languages are actually auto-generated for us. While not only a huge time saver, these are always kept up to date during any changes and modifications to the API definition. On top of the actual specific specifications, what we have is the actual live documentation. This documentation is hosted for you and actually can be shared amongst the different developers who plan on actually invoking some of these APIs. We're also able to then navigate directly into Talend's API tester so that developers are able to then begin testing against the API prior to their completion. And lastly, because Talend API Designer is integrated into Talend's unified platform, RESTful services leveraging these API contracts can be developed inside Talend Studio and deployed in Talend Cloud as a microservice, making healthy data available to everyone that needs it. Now that I've shown you how Talend Data Fabric fixes the root problem of failed Customer 360 initiatives, let me bring it back to Rebecca, our support specialist, to see what this means for her in her interaction with Justin. In our initial scenario, Rebecca was unable to find the single, accurate record of Justin because of duplicate records, and the records that did exist were incomplete or inaccurate. This left Rebecca unprepared to give Justin the support he was seeking, while Justin was left feeling frustrated and undervalued. As I showed you through the demonstration, each step along the journey to data health provided more value to Rebecca and her efforts to support Justin. Darren filled in the gaps for Rebecca by providing a complete representation of Justin. Priya eliminated duplicates and consolidated analytical data, providing Rebecca much needed insight into Justin's value to the organization. Leo validated the data matches and further refined data inconsistencies through data stewardship, giving Rebecca 100% confidence in the data. Finally, Jackie shared the clean, healthy data across the organization using APIs to unlock the true value of a Customer 360. All of this made Rebecca's job easier, and most importantly, it left Justin feeling appreciated and satisfied with his experience, increasing his long-term value to the company. This time, when Justin calls in, wanting to return the $1,200 Highland gravel mountain bike, Rebecca searches on his name and not only finds Justin's record, but it is enriched with important information that allows Rebecca to immediately understand Justin's value to the Acme Corp, exactly what transaction is being addressed, and what promotions and campaigns are most appealing to him. This gives Rebecca all the information she needs to provide the personalized experience Justin desires. And while addressing his product return in a timely fashion, she's also able to drive a loyalty by offering a personalized discount on the Velocity bike helmet. It's a win-win for Justin and Acme. Talend Data Fabric enables proactive measures, effective treatments, and a supportive culture to ensure business initiatives like a Customer 360 deliver clean, healthy, and high-quality data across your organization. So that concludes today's session. Thanks again for joining me here today at the Big Data and AI Toronto show. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email if you'd like to keep this conversation going. Until next time, take care.